small Scottish community of Fraserkirk says goodbye to a great man. For 2 decades, Randall Girdler has ridden the roller coaster of Wall Street and played the financial centres of Europe as if they were his private casino. He leaves to his widow Belle a fortune most men can only dream of. It's been said that the lives of rich and powerful men send ripples throughout the world. Their actions touch the course of many lives. That is why the world's press has descended on Fraserkirk to mark the passing of Mr. Randall Girdler into history.
Is it a crime, loving you dear like I do? If it's a crime, then I'm guilty. Guilty of loving you. Maybe I'm wrong, grieving on you.
Move it, Mother! Breakfast is getting cold.
If it's a crime, then I'm guilty. Guilty of dreaming of you. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. Loving you dear like I do. If it's a crime, then I'm guilty. Guilty of loving you.
Morning, Johnny.
Morning, Johnny. Anything for me?
Just one today.
Oh, thank you. Mrs. Dyers is selling a Sheraton sideboard. Second-hand motor mower for sale? Well, who's going to be able to afford the petrol for one of those?
Can you not suck your teeth, Mother? It's not attractive.
Well, this lovely detail. Who's having to sell the furniture? Who's receiving a bequest? Little cryptic notes between lovers? And the correspondence page is full of all the petty feuds and squabbles of village life.
You quite obviously haven't finished, Mrs. Finch. Go back into your room.
You've got to be more polite, Edmund. If Mrs. Finch takes a dislike to me, she simply won't come.
Sorry, Mrs. Swetnam.
I wouldn't read that this morning, Tarquin. I don't know the first thing about India. Probably never been there. Right. Do we need a new sideboard? Eh? No. And we don't want a motor mower either.
Hitch! Hitch! Henhouse! Hitch! Where are you? Henhouse! Listen to this.
Tarquin, listen to this.
A murder is announced. A murder is announced and will take place...
A murder is announced and will take place on Friday, September 25th.
A marriage is announced and will take place on Friday, September 25th at Little Paddocks at 7:30 p.m.
A what?
A marriage.
A murder.
A murder. And it's today. This is even more exciting. Friends, please accept this the only information. What do you think it means?
It means going round to Letitia Blacklock's and having bad sherry, that's what it means. And then having to pretend to murder one of the neighbours.
And will the lights suddenly come out?
Well, that's usually the form.
And will there be screaming?
Well, if you've got anything to do with it, yes, I expect so. Now, will you please go inside? You've got your bedroom slippers on.
Seems a strange thing for Miss Blacklock to do, don't you think? Strange way to invite everyone. She's normally so proper and kind, not at all frivolous.
Patrick, is this your idea?
No, indeed, Aunt Letty. Why should I know anything about it?
I thought it might be your idea of a joke.
Nothing of the kind.
Like when you put a hedgehog in Mitzi's bed.
I was only trying to cheer her up.
Like this morning, you try to cheer me up when you tell me I can't boil an egg.
You do good work, Mitzi.
In my own country, I was at university. I was to be lawyer.
Julia?
Of course not, Aunt Letty.
Do you think Mrs. Haynes?
I don't think Philippa would try and be funny. She hasn't smiled since Garbles poisoned his children.
I suppose it's some sort of silly hoax. But why? What's the point of it? Seems a very stupid sort of joke, and in very bad taste. Don't work yourself up over it, Bunny. You'll get one of your migraines. It's just somebody's idea of humour. It says today. Today at 7:30. What do you think's going to happen?
Death. Delicious death.
Do be quiet, Patrick.
I'm talking about the special cake that Mitzi makes. You know we always call it delicious death.
Letty, Well, I know one thing that's going to happen, and that's at 7:30 we'll have half the village up here agog with curiosity.
Especially the old fogies. They love a good molar.
Good morning. Excuse me.
Yes, madam.
May I change my last water treatment tomorrow morning from 10 o'clock to 8:30, as I'm hoping to catch the 10 o'clock train?
I'm sure that won't be a problem. And have you enjoyed your stay in the Cotswolds?
I have. Yes.
Do you feel, remunerated?
Not in the slightest. But I do feel rejuvenated.
Yes, of course. Is there anything else I can do for you? Order tea for the lounge, cash a check, find your newspaper?
May I have a pot of tea sent up to my room, please?
Right away.
Thank you.
You're worried, aren't you, Lottie? Dora, don't. I'm sorry. I told you.
But even if the notice was a joke, it seems to me there's spite in this joke. It's not a very nice kind of joke. Maybe it is me they want to kill. The Nazis. Or perhaps this time the Bolsheviks. They find out I'm here. These people have come around to my house before.
My dear child, if anyone wanted to murder you, they'd hardly advertise the fact in the paper, now would they?
Perhaps it is you they mean to murder, Miss Blacklock.
Nonsense. Now help me carry these things through, please. And after that, clean the silver in the dining room. That will keep you out of the way if any fun should happen.
You've had the central heating lit.
Yes, it's been so clammy and damp lately. I got Evans to light it before he left.
The precious, precious Coke.
Well, otherwise it would be even more precious coal.
I suppose there's once heaps of coke and coal for everybody.
Yes, and cheap, too. Now, Julia, can you and your brother move the table and the sherry tray round the corner into the other room? After all, I'm not giving a party. I haven't invited anyone.
Is there a party? No one told me.
Of course, Philippa doesn't know. The only woman in Chicken Cleghorn who doesn't.
There's the paper. Has anybody seen it? Are you sitting on it?
No.
I must go and shut up the ducks. They should be in by now.
I'll do it, Aunt Nancy.
No, you won't. Tell Philippa about the thing.
It must be, yes.
The last time someone offered to do it, they didn't latch the door properly.
Where is it?
On the other page.
Oh, yes, look. Here. Evidently, there's going to be a murder.
Thank you. Excuse me. May I see the manager, please?
Colonel Iserbrook.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I was just passing and I saw you had your central heating on.
Spotted Colonel.
Yes, it is.
And lovely chrysanthemums and fresh violets.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
Mrs. Swearingham and her son, whose name I have completely forgotten.
Edmund.
Good evening, Miss Blacklock. Good evening. Good evening.
You've got your central heating on.
Yes, they have. Have you started yours yet?
No.
Neither have I.
Sherry?
The music.
Not yet.
No, it'll be somebody else.
Do you think they'll have something to say about the central heating?
Sorry. Anyone dead yet? I was so worried we were going to miss it. This is so exciting, thank you. None of you will know this, but before the war there used to be lots of this sort of thing going on in the village. One winter my mother got murdered 5 times. I've never been so thrilled.
I need a drink.
You all right, Bunny?
When are you going to start?
Well, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen soon.
What do you mean, if?
Well, I'm as much in the dark as you are.
Here, Mother. Stick him up! Oh, stick him up, I think. Lights! Who's in the street? Who's got a light?
That's the real gun.
Need some lights! Oh, my God. Betty!
Oh, my goodness. Oh, get a doctor or something. Blood everywhere. Letty. Oh, Letty, it's only a flesh wound. Sit down, sit down. Sit down.
Will somebody get the lights on?
Must be made use.
There's somebody out here. People like that. Get out, I say! Turn up! Tell him to get to his feet, the fool!
He can't. He's dead.
What? He's been shot.
Who is he?
Inspector Craddock, Middleshire Police. May I see the manager, please?
Certainly, sir.
My dear boy, are you all right?
Yes, I'm fine, thank you. All in the line of duty.
Have you hurt your leg?
No, thank you.
Poor thing. Walk up and down. Try and walk it off.
No,
Have you come to investigate the death of Rudy Schurz?
I'm here on police business.
I spoke to him only yesterday. Swiss, I think. Don't forget to interview his young lady. She's a waitress in the grill.
If you'd like to come this way, Inspector. He'd been with us a little over 3 months. Quite good credentials, references from good hotels in Switzerland, all the right permits, etc. What exactly did he do?
Well, there's an idea it wasn't without originality. He got a lot of the locals curious, got them in the same room at the same time, and then tried to relieve them of their valuables.
Was it suicide or accidental?
Don't know. Nothing to indicate either. The gun went off as he fell. Had you found his work here satisfactory?
Well, yes, I did, yes. But there's someone I'd like you to meet who has something to say that might be of interest in this matter, Inspector. One moment, take a seat. Inspector Craddock, this is Miss Jane Marple, who's been staying with us for 2 weeks.
And it's been a treat. It really has. My nephew Raymond paid for it, Inspector. My birthday is in July.
What is it?
It is a cheque. Rudy Schurz altered it.
Please sit down, Miss Marple.
I have it here. It came yesterday with my others from the bank. You see, it was for £7, and he altered it to 17. Very nicely done. Certain amount of practice, I should say.
How can you be sure it's not your mistake? The same ink.
It's the same ink because I wrote it to the desk. And, Inspector, a busy young mother or a girl who's having a love affair is the type who writes cheques for all sorts of different kinds, not an old lady who has formed habits. For personal expenditure, I cashed 7. It used to be 5, but everything has gone up so. I'm afraid I was quite the wrong person to pick. Mr. Schurz wouldn't have gone very far in crime. Which brings me to a thought.
Thank you, Miss Marple. Thank you. But I have little time and a great many people I need to see before I leave.
Like his young lady? Good. Because he may have told her who it was.
Who what was?
Oh, I expressed myself so badly. Who it was who put him up to it.
You think someone put him up to it?
Well, he's a personable young man who filches a bit here and there, all sorts of petty thefts so he can dress well and take a girl about, and then suddenly he goes off with a revolver, holds up a room full of people and shoots at someone. Well, he'd never have done anything like that. Doesn't make sense. He wasn't that kind of person.
Well, perhaps we don't need to interview the waitress, Miss Marple. Perhaps you'll just tell us exactly what happened.
How can I do that? There's an account in the paper, but it says so little. One can make conjecture, but one has no accurate information. I'll let you get on, gentlemen.
Well, at least that's her out of the way.
To the station, madam.
No, Chipping Cleghorn, please. I do apologise. It's at such short notice.
As I said on the telephone, it's delightful to hear from you. All these promises on Christmas cards, and at last one of us has managed to visit.
You look like your mother.
Let me help you. We've had a terrible tragedy in the village, Aunt Jane. Oh. Yesterday a man shot himself dead while trying to hold half the village up.
Oh, well, the last thing you need at a time like this is a visitor. I can easily go.
Since it's lovely to see you. It'd be lovely to have an old friend around.
It was just the one circuit that went. Drawing room and hall. Now, he couldn't have tampered with a fuse box, because that's out by the scullery, and the maid would have seen him. Unless she's in it with him, of course, which is very possible.
Why is it very possible?
Well, they're both foreign.
Who fixed it afterwards?
Patrick Simmons. He lives here, some sort of relative.
Have you found out how Shirt's got in?
Front door, I think. It's not locked till late. Now, he appears to have gotten here about 7 o'clock on the bus from Meddenham.
That would tally with what his girlfriend said. Unless she's hardly his girlfriend, she barely knew him.
Yeah, well, this lot knew him. That wasn't the first time he'd been here. So, where had you met him before?
Well, Sergeant, about 3 weeks ago, Dora Bunner, who helps me run the house, and I were having lunch at Meddenham Wells.
Miss Blacklock, I know you from Switzerland.
I don't think I...
Oh, yes, it's definitely you. I'm the son of the proprietor of the Hotel des Arts at Montreux. I remember you and your sister very well.
Charlotte and I had spent a year at that hotel during the war. It was there that my sister died.
Did you remember Mr. Shirt?
I had no recollection of seeing him before. These boys behind reception desks all looked the same, but I was civil to him. I entered into conversation with him.
Which was your mistake.
You see, his father had been very obliging when my sister became ill.
But 10 days ago, he turned up here. He wanted money. He said Letty was the only person he knew in England and that he needed to return home as his mother was very poorly. But you didn't give him any, did you, Letty?
In case you think I'm hard-hearted, Inspector, I was secretary for many years to a big financier, and one becomes wary of appeals for money. I know all the hard luck stories there are. What surprised me, though, was that he gave in so easily, as though he never expected to get the money.
But he stole the meat. That was the day Mitzi had the good lamb stolen from the cold shelf. It was he who took it.
He didn't go through to the kitchen, Bunny. How could he have stolen the meat?
Do you think coming here was a pretext to spy out the land?
Yes, in retrospect.
Oh, let me take those dead violets. I'm sorry. But you should have been here last night. Tables went flying, people barging about in the dark, and someone put a cigarette down and burnt one of the best bits of furniture.
Well, it all seems clear, sir. The front door was open. He'd already seen places in the hall where he could hide, cupboards and so on, and...
No, it's not clear at all. Why should anyone go to all that trouble to burgle this house? The most he could get out of us was costume jewellery and a couple of pounds. He wanted to kill you, Letty, for not giving him that money.
Dora, dear, don't get so upset.
The lights went out with a sort of crackling sound. He found you with his torch and tried to shoot you. And when he missed, he shot himself. I'm certain that's the way it was. I'm certain of it.
He shouted, "Stick 'em up, please."
He did not say please. Do you think the shots were fired blindly or aimed carefully at one particular person?
Blindly? No, they were aimed at Letty. Oh, Aunt Jane, it was so exciting, but then it went quiet. And the door closed by itself. It does, with a whining noise, quite uncanny. And there was blood dripping from Letitia's...
Yes, well, that's quite enough, Amy. I'm sure Miss Marple doesn't want to go into all the gory details, otherwise she'll never be able to sleep again.
Sorry.
It's all right.
Oh, Colonel Easterbrook has asked us over for lunch. I do hope you'll come. I think he wanted to really pick over the carcass of last night.
Imagery, Amy.
Sorry. There's a spare towel in the airing cupboard.
Thank you, dear.
Who is she? She's an old friend of my mother's. They drove ambulances together in the First War and always wrote.
Well, I don't like her being here.
It's going to be fine.
We call her Aunt Letty. She's a distant cousin, really. Our mother is Letty's second cousin. My brother was in the Navy during the war, and I was at one of the ministries based near Llandudno. When the war was over, my mother wrote and asked if we could come and stay, as paying guests.
It suits us both very well. I'm at the university in Middlehurst, and Julia's training as a dispenser at the hospital. It's only 50 minutes away.
Can you tell me about last night, Miss Ellen?
Why are you wasting our time with this? It's hardly a suspicious death, was it?
It was obviously an accident.
Can you tell me where you were standing when the lights went out? Just so I can get a picture.
Well, I was on my guard, next to Miss Hinchcliffe, who'd taken up a manly stance by the fireplace. Most of us were watching the clock as it chimed.
Mr. Simmons?
I was in the back getting the sherry. I think Colonel Easterbrook had followed, I don't know. And Aunt Letty was getting the cigarettes.
Did Miss Blacklock have to go to hospital? No, it just caught her ear. But, oh, there was so much blood.
A pound of sausages, please.
There always is with ears. Yes, I can remember when I was a child, painting at the hairdresser's. The manager snipped my ear, but all at once there was this basin of blood.
Unusual. All right, dear? Well, I can't give you the usual horse meat, can I? Thought we'd have a little treat.
Ooh, lovely.
Vegetable marrows.
Congratulations.
Thank you, and well, it's always been my intention that you should have some of them. They're not quite ready, but I'm sure they'll taste all right.
No, let me trade.
No. No, I was always planning to give you some. A present. Thank you.
Mrs. Haynes?
There's an old gardener living in the cottage here. So Mrs. Lucas asked me if I would billet at Little Paddocks.
When was it?
At the start of the school year. Yeah. I have an 8-year-old son boarding at Medden & Wells, Inspector.
Is there a Mr. Haynes?
He's dead. He was killed at Monte Cassino.
I'm sorry. Can you tell me in your own words, Mrs. Haynes, exactly what happened after you arrived home yesterday evening?
Here we are. Very nice. Give him a knock. Well, he said he'd be in, so... Colonel! Colonel?
Miss Murgatroyd.
Everything all right?
Yes. We were just meeting to go over the events of last night. Edmund, see if we could come up with something to help the police with his suicide. I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
Oh, Jane Marple. This is Colonel Easterbrook and Edmund Swettenham.
Pleased to meet you.
How do you do? How do you do? Are you sure it was suicide, Colonel?
Yes. Where would he get a Luger like that?
Half the soldiers who came back from Europe seem to have a German gun in their knapsack. Mr. Swettenham, guns like that are often impossible to trace.
It definitely wasn't suicide. It was an accident.
No, you've got to know you're criminal. You've got to use psychology. Now, why does this fellow put that advert in the newspaper? He wants to advertise himself.
Why, what's he selling?
Himself. He feels despised as a foreigner at the hotel, passed over by this English woman who wouldn't give him money. And what is the idol of the cinema nowadays? The gangster, the tough guy.
I thought it was Bob Hope and Bing Crosby.
So he dresses himself up, shoots his gun to frighten the Tish in front of her friends, maybe with the intention of robbery, but then he sees he's shot her, perhaps killed her.
I see.
Yes, it's all up with him. And in a blind panic, he turns the pistol on himself. You see? Psychology.
Always lived with Miss Blacklock?
Oh, no, she's an old school friend of Letitia's. Hey, when was it, Lynn?
6 months ago.
Yes, 6 months ago she wrote her a letter. Her health had given way and she was living in one room trying to subsist on her pension, and Letty, being Letty, swoops down and gives her a place to live.
Did you know that pigs are the closest animals to men? Did you know that, Miss Marple?
No.
We've named all of ours after generals in the British Army.
Yes. There's Wellington, Haig,
There's Monty.
And there's Inspector Craddock.
You're the lady from the hotel.
Nice to meet you again, Inspector.
What are you doing in Chipping Cleghorn?
Oh, Miss Marple's an old friend of the family. She's staying with us for a few days.
And when did she arrange this little trip?
Well, this morning.
Sergeant, would you accompany Miss Hinchcliffe and Miss Murgatroyd inside, please? I'll be in a minute.
Come along, please.
May I have a word?
Of course.
I must emphasise in the strongest terms, but I hope your visit here is a genuine one, and you are not concerning yourself with police business.
Of course, Inspector.
I'm glad that's clear.
But I must admit, It's been fascinating listening to what people saw or thought they saw last night. Haven't you found that?
No.
Because in reality, they couldn't actually have seen anything, could they?
Go on.
If I understand correctly, there wasn't any light in the hall at Miss Blacklock's, and not on the landing either.
That's right.
So, if a man stood in the doorway and flashed a powerful torch, nobody could see anything but the torch, could they? So, everything they saw, they are really recapitulating from what they saw afterwards, when the lights came on. And this all fits in well, I think, with the assumption that Rudy Schurtz was the, isn't Fall Guy the expression Dashiell Hammett uses?
You suggesting he was persuaded by someone to go out and take pot shots at a room full of people?
I think he was told it was a joke. He was paid for doing it, of course. Paid for... I presume it was he who put the advert in the paper. Paid for going up and spying on the house, and paid for throwing open the door, shining a torch and shouting.
Stick 'em up!
But he never had a gun.
But everyone said...
No, they didn't see it, did they? They just heard. And if he was holding the lamp in one hand and the door that swung itself shut with the other, he had no hands left to hold a gun, I think. Somebody came up behind him in the darkness and fired those 2 shots over his shoulder. Terrified him to death, he swung round, and as he did so, that other person shot him and let the revolver drop beside him.
But who would do that?
You'll have to find out from Miss Blacklock who wanted to kill her. And if you find that out, you'll find out who killed Rudy Schurtz.
His face. Oh, that poor man. That poor... The blood on his face. I'm scared, but I know. I'm scared. But thank God it wasn't you. It wasn't you. Now, shh. I'm going to go make a cup of tea. No, shh. You'll give me a heart attack. Quinn says we've had a harvest and we've got far too many. I don't want anything in return. Are you coming to church?
I mustn't be seen with you.
Well, we talked about this.
No. I don't want to see you now.
What? Ever? What's he said to you?
Please.
Good morning.
Morning, Miss Marple.
Oh, good morning. Do you know if Colonel Easterbrook is coming to church this morning?
I believe he's ill, I'm afraid.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
This murder at Miss Blacklock's, it's preying on his mind. If you'll excuse me.
You'd have thought, having been a soldier, he'd be the last person to let it prey on his mind. How long have the Swettenhams been in the village?
A year.
They arrived just before Archie Easterbrook.
Yeah.
Inspector, I have some information for you.
Can I talk to you later, Miss Kaczynski?
Yes, of course. I will know nothing, will I, Inspector? I will not be able to tell you who I heard talking in the summer house with that dead boy the same day he came begging for money.
Who?
Mrs. Hames.
You're sure it was Rudy Schurtz that Philippa Hames was talking to?
I do not lie. I see him live and cross. And when I go outside, I hear them talk. And I think, so, this is how you behave, my fine lady. But now I realize it was not love Philippa Hames planned with him. It was to rob and murder Miss Blacklock, who has been so kind to her. But of course you think I lie.
No.
Yes, you people. You all think I lie.
Miss Blacklock will be down in a minute.
Funny, shall we wait or shall we walk on?
Oh, walk on. Walk on.
Fine.
What's this door, Miss Bunner?
Oh, I try and open it 3 times a week. It's the dummy to the sitting room. It was fastened when the 2 rooms were thrown into one.
Nailed up or just locked?
Oh, locked and bolted. It hasn't been open for years, has it, Letty?
Even though you keep trying.
Did it used to have a table against it?
The hall table, yes.
When was it moved?
Oh, recently, about 10 days or a fortnight ago.
Dora, dear, it's best you go. We don't know how long the police will be.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. I'll walk slowly.
Why was it moved?
I think Philippa did a big vase of flowers, and they were really beautiful. Full of September colours, but far too big for there, so she moved them here.
Is there a key?
Yes. Yes, there are keys in here. With one of these, I shouldn't wonder. Let's see. Oh, yes. I'll do one of these.
Thank you very much.
The hinges have been oiled.
This door's not sealed. It's been opened recently.
But why?
Because I believe the person that tried to kill you was inside the room when the lights went out. And this is how they got out behind Rudy's sheds.
Not much longer. Just these few days.
But I'm not worth murdering, Inspector. At least not yet.
What do you mean?
Simply that one day I may be a very rich woman, possibly quite soon. But until then, I exist on a small annuity and my lodgers. What money I had went the way of all German and Italian securities during the war.
Then how will you come into money?
Do you remember Randall Girdler, the financier?
By name, yes. Millionaire.
Several times over. I was his secretary for over 20 years. He died without children and left his fortune in trust to his wife, and after her death to me. The last 10 years or so, I've had an excellent motive for murdering Mrs. Girdler. But that doesn't help you, does it, Inspector?
Forgive me asking this, but did Mrs. Girdler resent her husband leaving you his money?
I know what you're thinking, Inspector, but I was not Randall's mistress. He was in love with Belle and remained so until he died. No, I think it was gratitude on his part that prompted his will. You see, in the early years, when Randall was still on an insecure footing, I lent him a little money, which saved him from financial disaster. After that, he treated me like his junior partner. Oh, they were exciting days. I only gave it up when my father died. My sister was an invalid and I had to look after her. I took her for treatment in Switzerland just before the war, where she eventually died. Only arrived back in England 18 months or so ago.
How soon might you become a rich woman?
Belle Girdler lives in Scotland. She's a sweet woman. I haven't seen her for years, but we write Christmas and birthdays. She's also very sick. It may only be a few weeks.
What happens to the money if you die before Mrs. Girdler?
You know, I never thought. I suppose it would go to the offspring of Randall's only sister, Sonia. Randall quarrelled with her after she married a man he considered a crook. What was his name now? He was very handsome, but a drunk, and predatory around young women. Fabricant. Alex Fabricant.
Randall Girdler cut his sister out of the will when she married.
They never spoke again.
But there were children?
I think so. All I heard was that Sonia Fabricant, as she became, wrote once after she married to say that she'd given birth to twins and she was going to call them Pip and Emma.
How old would this brother and sister be?
25, 26. I really don't know if Pip and Emma exist.
Might I have a word, please, Mrs. Holmes? I was told you had a conversation with Rudy Schertz in the days before the hold-up.
Who said that?
You were overheard in the summer house at Little Paddocks. This has
is
some places to
nonsense.
hide. Please remain in the car, Mrs. Holmes.
Who on earth told you this?
Just answer the question.
It was Mitzi, wasn't it? It sounds like Mitzi, who is a liar.
And if you haven't worked that out by now, Inspector, you really ought to be considering another profession. Sorry. And you should obviously not be considering another profession. But Mitzi does make things up. And if it's not a leg of lamb being stolen, then it's something like this.
Right.
Right. Goodbye.
I'll find out for you when you're in Scotland.
What?
If people are who they say they are. Because that's what's worrying you, isn't it? And that's really the particular way in which this world has changed since the war. In a place like this, everyone knew who each other was, and if somebody new came, they brought letters of introduction. Now the country is like the town, and all you know about your neighbour is what they say of themselves. Anybody who took the trouble could have a suitable identity card.
The only people who could oil that door would be those who lived with Miss Blacklock.
Not necessarily. Haven't you noticed how no one locks their door here? And the little market of illegal bartering going on gives any neighbour an excuse to drop by. All they would need to know is Mitzi's afternoon off and the times Miss Blacklock and Miss Bonner go out. It would be as easy as stealing Mitzi's leg of lamb from the larder.
The lamb's not important, is it?
We don't know yet. All we know is that if Miss Blacklock dies, there are at least 2 people in this world who would come into a large fortune.
But Pip and Emma may not exist, or they may even be respectable citizens living somewhere in Europe.
Or one or both of them. Maybe in Chipping Cleghorn. Maybe even with one or other of their parents.
But if Sonia or Alex Fabricant were in the village, then, well, surely Miss Blacklock would have recognised them.
People can change their appearance, Inspector, and she would have known the Fabricants a long time ago. Try and get a photograph of them from Mrs. Girdler, and get your sergeant to trace everyone through the official records. I will do what I can here.
If there's going to be another murder attempt, it's going to happen quickly, before Mrs. Girdler dies.
Then hurry back. Interested to hear that you were at school with the Miss Blacklocks.
Yes, both of them.
Yours is indeed an old friendship.
Oh, yes, indeed. Very few people will be as loyal to their old friends as Lottie. Those days seem so long ago. Such a pretty girl. Enjoyed life so much. Oh, thank you. Yes. It all seemed so sad.
What was sad?
Sad affliction, bravely borne. I always think of that verse. Such courage and patience. And it ought to be rewarded, that's what I say.
Money can do a lot to ease one's path in life.
Money? Oh, no, Miss Marple, money is not the answer. People take advantage of her. That's what they do. Some people, I won't name names, but... well, some people, like Patrick Simmons, they take advantage. Twice, to my knowledge, he's got money out of Lottie, and twice he's run up a debt. No, she is too trusting at times. You and I know the world, Miss Marple. We would not be as trusting. And if you ask me, that Patrick knew that Swiss boy. That's what I think.
What makes you think that?
Money. And I think he fiddled with that lamp in the dining room to make the lights go out. Because I distinctly remember it was the shepherdess, not the shepherd. And the next day...
Good morning, Miss Marple. Getting cold outside, isn't it?
Good morning.
I haven't ordered for you, but I can order again.
Have you been shopping?
Excuse me.
Birthday.
May I have... Excuse me.
I think we should get Mitzi to bake a cake.
Don't you? Oh, Miss Marple, you must come back with us. Philippa has done the most wonderful flower arrangement for me. You must see it.
I had planned to meet Amy.
Amy can come too. Oh, everyone must see it. It's just marvellous.
Hello, is that the War Office? Yeah, this is Middleshire Police. I'd like to check the service records of a number of people, please. Yeah, thank you.
She said she used soothing colours to try and bring some calm to the house after all the trouble.
Of course. She's so clever. It, must have been a terrible shock, Mrs. Blacklock. Do the police know how Mr. Shirts broke in?
He walked in. Always assisted. They've realised that the second door, the one that leads to the back of the room, well, that door...
Dora, dear, I don't think Inspector Craddock wants that talked about.
Oh, no, Lottie. I'm sorry.
Well, we won't breathe a word. Is, that where you were standing?
Yes, she was. Yes, she had the vase of violets in her hand when the lights went out.
No, the cigarette box. I was about to offer my guests cigarettes.
Oh, yes, you were.
Well, if you will excuse me, we seem to have run out of milk.
So that must be the Dresden Shepherd lamp. And what a beautiful table.
Well, it was, but it's been ruined with a cigarette burn. I know it was very frightening when he burst in, but well, people should take more care of their cigarettes.
Where did Philippa find such late roses? Was it Dice Hall?
No, in the garden. I'll show you.
Oh, yes.
Excuse us.
Oh, I'm sorry. I came in search of the second Dresden lamp. Dora said it was in here. Dora said it's wonderful.
Yes, it must be here somewhere. A shepherdess.
I'm disturbing you.
No, I was just thinking about Mitzi. What she must have gone through in Poland. I wonder what's worse. Thinking you might die at any time in the war. Or thinking you might die at any time now. Because of a deliberate act. Well, this lamp must be here somewhere. Let's try the hall. I've had those lamps for years.
Yes. When you've had possessions a long time, they get so full of memories, don't you think? They're almost better than photographs, which is another thing people don't do nowadays. They put very few photographs around.
We'll have to ask Dora.
I have a lovely one of Amy, age 3, holding a cat and squinting. I expect you have many of your cousins and other relations.
Not Julia and Patrick, no. In truth, I'd forgotten what my cousin's children were called, actually.
Oh.
Or how many she had. Till she wrote and asked me if they could stay.
I'd hope the flowers would cheer you up. At least persuade you to put your wig on. We don't need that man, Mother, not you and me. What else would he bring but unhappiness?
You don't know him at all.
I know enough to know that. Okay, you can cook another cosy Sunday roast for him, go for walks, play at happy families, but he's a drinker and he'll always drink. You know, he'll always drink.
Oh, no. We're not getting dressed up for Barney's party, are we?
I just thought we should make an effort. Edmund Swettenham left a jar of honey for me in the hall this afternoon, along with a card. I don't know how he knew it was my birthday. People are so kind.
Oh, no. They'll look gorgeous. Oh, you must look nice for your party tonight. Everyone wants to make a fuss of you.
Thank you.
You're not royalty or anything else dubious, are you, Miss Marple?
No.
It's just that with Amy inviting half the village round for dinner, it's as if you're on a state visit.
No, I live in a village much like this.
Lucky you. I don't know why people live in places like this. Unless they're like Easterbrook. There's too many ghosts in London from India. At least that's what he's told my mother. Well, evidently he has a daughter there, but she gave up on him some time ago.
Is that why he doesn't keep any mementos of India around the house?
Probably. Too much past.
It's unusual. Most former officers fill their homes with trophies and photographs and guns, all of which have interminable stories behind them. Does London hold too much past for your mother as well, my dear?
Why, what have people said, Miss Marple?
Nothing, I was just wondering from what you just said.
Good evening,
Very well.
I'm sorry, it's just that gossip's like acid in a place like this. It's so corrosive.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Barney. Happy birthday to you. Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! Delicious day.
Come on, Bunny.
1, 2. Hang on.
Patrick!
3.
Well done. Many happy returns of the day.
Mrs. Gertler's strongest times are in the morning and after supper. Then she will talk and enjoy talking. But quite suddenly her energy will go and she will drop. Oh, she is, you see, kept almost entirely under the influence of morphia.
Have you any old photographs, Mrs. Girdler? Especially of Sonia Fabricant and her family. I believe she had at least 2 children.
No, I'm afraid there's nothing like that. All our personal papers and things were stored with the furniture from the London house at the beginning of the war. And then the storage depository was blitzed.
Did you ever meet Sonia Fabricant's children?
No. Alex Fabricant was a crook. Real crook. Had a criminal record. Randall would have nothing to do with him.
Nevertheless, he left his estate to Sonia's children if Miss Blacklock predeceased you.
That was me. Randall wouldn't countenance that man getting his paws on the money, so he agreed to Pip and Emma. Who knows where they are? They may be dead.
Or maybe not. Here's a brother and sister brought up somewhere in Europe. Their father's a criminal. Whatever happened to them during the war, maybe they turned up in England. Looked up their uncle's will to see what money was left in the family. And if they...
Don't let them hurt Blackie.
No.
Blackie's good. Really good. You mustn't let them hurt her.
All right.
All
The police say the dummy door's been oiled.
Yes.
And then they must think the scheme was lights out.
Yes.
The regular thing, the hinges, the wood.
The door.
The door opens with a flourish. The Swiss fellow comes in with his torch.
Yes.
And then one of us sneaks out behind. And while the rest of us are ogling the light, this one of us has the gun.
That's impossible. So, one of us shoots Letitia Blacklock.
Yes.
That's what the police must be thinking.
Well, let's find out. Huh? Let's find out now. Let's reenact it.
I think we should all call it a night. Don't
Get off me! We're finding out. All of us.
Do you think this is a good idea?
Well, I'm game as long as he stops shouting.
Right, come on, we'll do it here, in front of the window.
Can I be Professor Plum?
Just stand where you were standing when the lights went out.
I feel sick after that cake. I haven't had anything that much in years.
You want a sauce, Bunny?
We've run out of aspirin, Lottie.
Have you got a migraine?
Yes. I think I might retire early if that's all right. There's some more by my bed.
Thank you.
It's the excitement.
Then I was definitely here.
No, you weren't.
Well, where exactly were you then, Colonel?
I was here by Letitia.
This must be very boring for you. I'm sorry, Aunt.
Well, she can play the Swiss boy.
Yes, yes. But why don't you come bursting through the door like a lunatic and then hurl yourself into a heap on the floor?
Because those sort of days are behind me, Colonel.
Colonel Easterbrook!
You really should drink more often.
Where were you, Miss Murgatroyd?
I was over here, by the door.
Yes. Yes. Yes, you were. You were.
Thank you.
And if you were there, you'd been behind the light. You wouldn't have been blinded by the torch.
Yes.
Archie?
Please be quiet. She could see us all as the torch lit up the room. She could see who wasn't there.
Is that true?
Amy? Who wasn't there?
I can't remember.
Oh, come on, Amy. The door crashes open. Come on.
No.
You watched the light as it scanned across the room. Come on.
No. I had my eyes closed.
Truly peaked, you silly separatic thing. Oh, don't be so pathetic. You must have seen something.
No. I can't remember things, no.
Would anyone like a cup of tea?
Yes. Yes, I'll make it.
Philippa, may I have a word?
Yes, of course.
I know you get anxious about your boy's education, that you worry about the future, and that's why I want to tell you something. Things haven't been very settled lately, and I thought I would like to make a new will in view of certain eventualities. Apart from Bunny's legacy, what little there is going to you.
And I don't want it, really. I don't. Why me?
I'm thinking of your child. I want to do this.
You're a dark horse.
Did you hear that?
I think I was rather meant to, don't you? But remember, if she's knocked off now, you're the #1 suspect.
No. No, because the woman in Scotland
So
still...
you know about Belle Girdler. You know all about that.
You sure you don't want me to walk you home?
Quite sure.
And I'm going for a quick drink.
Archie? Archie!
It was my gun. It was my gun used to kill that boy.
The one in your desk?
Someone has taken it. I don't know what to do. It is someone we know.
Do you know who it is? Why haven't you been to the police?
Because I have no license. And I don't want the police taking over the trouble.
Oh, my love, it's all right.
No.
Come home to mine. Come on. Come on.
Did you get some sleep on the train? Well, this'll wake you up. Now, Patrick and Julia Simmons are who they say they are. His naval record is genuine, and I spoke to their mother, who confirmed that they're staying with Letitia Blacklock.
So they're not Pip and Emma?
No.
Mrs. Haynes?
Oh, there's a lot about her. Well, it's all in there. But even more exciting is Colonel Easterbrook. Now, he was in India, all right, but he got drummed out of his regiment for drinking. The final straw being when he took a shot at a fellow officer during a drunken brawl. Well, and he's the right age for Alex Fabricant.
Does he have a family?
I was tracing them and his record before the war, when we had a visitor. He says he has proof that Easterbrook killed Rudy Shirts.
Who's that for, Missy?
Mrs. Barnum hasn't come down this morning.
I'll take it.
Oh, Bunny.
I need you to go through with it. Just don't abandon me now. But she's dead.
Miss Blacklock, we're all so very sorry to hear about Dora's death. Miss Hinchcliffe asked if I would leave these flowers. I'm only a stranger, I know, but Miss Bunner seemed to me the nicest.
She was the only link with the past. I know, the only one who remembered. And now she's gone.
Is it yours, girl? We know it's yours because you showed Edmund Swetnam in your desk drawer 2 weeks ago. He said you tried to impress him with some fanciful story about how you captured it.
It's mine. But I did not try and kill Letitia Blacklock. I didn't know it was missing. Until I saw it lying there next to the Swiss boy.
Well, if you had nothing to hide, why didn't you come forward at your first opportunity and tell us that the gun was yours?
No license.
Is this your daughter?
Yes.
Miss Laura Easterbrook. Where is she now?
She lives in London, I think. We are not in contact. We are not in contact. Her mother divorced me because of the drink. I have not seen Laura for 10 years. That is the truth.
Dora Bunner was found murdered this morning, having taken poison that had been meant for Miss Blacklock.
It was definitely poison. She died within seconds. This Easterbrook. He leaves it by Miss Blacklock's bed, hoping she will take it. But like the shooting, it is an innocent who gets killed. Like it's always the innocent.
Amy, it wasn't Archie, was it?
What's this?
Well, she was behind the door when the man burst in. She's the only one not blinded by the torch. You saw Archie in the room the whole time, didn't you? Tell me you saw him in the room. Excuse me. Edmund just put the police onto him.
Why has he done that?
Because he's jealous and possessive. Edmund's illegitimate. There's never been a Mr. Swetnam. It's only just been the two of us. And he resents me building a life for myself away from him. He's jealous of me getting a proper, respectable married name. Why is that too much to ask? Archie and I haven't committed any crime. Well, except for one. Mitzi, I feel very guilty about this. It was me who stole your meat that day.
The lamb?
I wanted to treat Archie. I wanted to impress him. It was your afternoon off, and I knew Miss Blacklock and Bunny would be at the shops.
That was the day the Swiss boy came begging.
No, it was your afternoon off. I stole the meat from the safe, and then I crept out into the front, and I nearly got caught red-handed because Letty came back early. I only wanted to treat Archie.
If I had admitted to having the gun, I would have been a suspect. And you would have found out all this about me. And I didn't want the village to know I'd been thrown out of the army. No, I didn't want her to know.
Who?
Sadie. I come here to escape all this. And Sadie, and she is the best thing that ever could have happened. She is, but if she ever finds out about my past, she... Everyone in that room knew I had that gun. Everyone. And any one of them could have taken it.
Surely somewhere there's got to be a photograph of Sonia and Fabricant. We've got to find out what this family looks like.
Well, do you think he's Alex?
Well, what shall I do with it? Well, let him go. Trace his daughter, though. Find out where she is. Bunny and us.
Yes, that's Dora. Bless her.
Yeah, this looks about the right guy. Here we go. You'd been working for the Girdlers by then, wouldn't you? This isn't the way it was the other day when we rearranged the bookshelf, was it?
No.
No. All the photographs of Sonia have been removed. And they were definitely here because we were teasing you about the clothes you were wearing. Do you remember?
CLB. Is this your sister?
Sorry.
Dearest Charlotte, I wish you would make up your mind to see people. Your disfigurement is not nearly as bad as you think. Dear Charlotte, yesterday Belle and Sonia went for a picnic. Randall also took the day off. The Astrogel flotation. May I take these?
What good can they do you?
Well, there might be something. Some description of Sonia's character, some incident that could help build up a picture.
Take them. Take them and then burn them. They don't mean anything to anyone except me and Charlotte. That's all gone now.
It's touching, really. She pours out everything in the hopes of sustaining her sister's interest in life, even suggesting new iodine treatments for her disfigurement. And there's a clear picture of an old father in the background. Dr. Blacklock. A real pig-headed old bully. Absolutely set in his ways.
What impression do you get of Sonia?
Oh. She's determined to get her own way. Definitely. Strong. And she had her own money, which is probably why this man married her.
Sonia asks to be remembered to you. She's just come in and is closing and unclosing her hands like an angry cat sharpening its claws. I suspect she and Randall have had another row. You told us your husband had been killed in Italy.
Yes.
Wouldn't it have been better to have told the truth? That he was a deserter?
Do you have to rake everything up? What are you going to do, tell everyone? Do you think that's really necessary, Inspector, or kind?
We expect people to tell the truth about themselves, Mrs. Haynes.
Edward doesn't know, and I don't want him to know. We meant nothing to his father, and it's best kept that way. To us, he went to the war and he never came back.
So when was the last time you saw him?
Oh, not for years.
You sure? It never seemed to me likely that you met Rudy Schertz in the summer house. I suggest the man you actually met that afternoon was your husband. Deserters are often desperate men, Mrs. Haynes, and commit many robberies.
He turned up. I hadn't seen him for years, and he turned up wanting money.
And you supplied it?
What money do I have? No. And now that he's realised that, I don't think I'll be seeing that man again, Inspector.
Heaven knows why you put the sheets out. It's going to rain.
We might get away with it.
Oh, I see your snoopy old friend's not up yet then.
No.
Oh, surely she scheduled some furtive little chat with the police this morning. Are you sure she's not spying on us?
Of course not.
Well, I think she is. I think she's spying on all of us, that one. Will she be staying much longer?
No, I don't think so. She wasn't there. She wasn't there. Hitch! Hitch! She wasn't there. She wasn't there. Hitch! Hitch!
I was in the pig run. I had to come out of the house, but it was raining. She speaks such nonsense, really. I didn't even look up.
What was she saying?
Something about she wasn't there.
Who wasn't there? Had you been talking of the night of the shooting? Did she say she wasn't there? Or she wasn't there?
I don't know. I just wanted to finish the feeding before the worst of the rain. Does it matter?
I think so. I think she'd finally remembered who wasn't in the room.
Why do you bang like that? Am I deaf?
Can you go through the decision room, please?
Am I deaf? Inspector, am I deaf?
No, of course you're not deaf. Is Miss Blacklock in?
Inspector, I'm so pleased. I was just coming to see you.
I hope you don't mind, Miss Blacklock, but I've invited your neighbours round to see me here.
What, here? What in here with your muddy shoes? Muddy?
What is it, Inspector?
Then what's that then? And that? Look, you're doing it
Amy
again.
Murgatroyd has been murdered this morning. Can I see you in the sitting room, please? Before she died, we believe Amy Murgatroyd revealed the identity of a woman who was absent from this room during the shooting.
Yes. That's
A woman who was supposed to have been here the whole time. In light of this, I need to ask the women present to tell me where they were between 7:30 and 8:30 this morning, when Amy was murdered.
Then start with her. Because she is Emma Fabricant. Her.
Is this true?
Yes, this is her passport. It says Emma Macefield, but it says Emma. She's not Julia Simmons. She's not my cousin. Bonnie. Now, Amy. The boy. Is money so important to you? Why didn't you just kill me? Why did you have to kill Bonnie?
My father changed his name from Fabricant when he split up with my mother. Pip and I were about 3, and they split us up as well. I was his part of the deal.
Where's your father now?
I don't know. He stopped contacting the last school I went to, and then there was the war. When I landed up in London, I looked up Randall Girdle as well, and with the old lady in Scotland, Gaga and morphine, I thought that Letty was my best bet. I thought perhaps if I could get to know you, you might take pity on an abandoned child and make her perhaps a small allowance.
It's nothing sinister, Aunt Letty. I know I oughtn't to have done, but... well, you see, we met at a party after I was demobbed, and we got talking, and I told her I was coming here, and then... well, Julia, the real Julia, she knows nothing about this. She's happy for Mother to think she's here with me because she's living with a man she's not married to.
Your job in Middlehurst?
It doesn't exist. And is this not sinister? Is it not sinister that she's been weaving this tissue of lies to the police after everything that's happened?
When Rudy Schertz was shot, you felt trapped, didn't you, Emma?
You realised you had a motive for killing Miss Blacklock, and it would only be your word that you weren't involved. You thought you would just sit tight and fade away when you could. They kept dying, didn't they? She's been out walking this morning. Ask her where she's been. Ask her where she's been between 7 and now.
I was just walking across the fields.
In which direction? Towards Boulders.
Is Pip in this room, Emma? When did you realise it was Pip?
2 days ago. You all had her pegged as a boy. I hadn't seen her since we were 3. I was going to come to the police this morning.
haven't murdered anyone. I came here, like Emma, hoping to meet Miss Blacklock, hoping that if we became friends, she might help me.
Why didn't you tell us who you were?
Because it was too dangerous, because I knew what the police would think, and it's exactly what you're thinking now, isn't it?
You murdered her. What? I told you what I had in the shop. I told you Miss Murgatroyd could have seen who wasn't there, and you killed her. You killed her! It is always the innocent who die! Always!
Get out! Come on, miss!
Murderer!
All right.
Get the entry doors open.
Are you going to arrest her? Yes. Arrest her now. She's a maniac.
No, Colonel, she's not. No more than Pip and Emma are the murderers. Miss Marple.
Thank you, Inspector. If you'll forgive me, Miss Blacklock, I want to ask you about your sister. The one who died in Switzerland, who Rudy Schertz knew. Tell me about Charlotte. She was a pretty girl, wasn't she?
Yes.
But she developed a disfigurement, an enlargement of the thyroid gland, a goiter, an ugly swelling of the neck that shattered her confidence.
Yes.
Made her a recluse. Your tyrannical father was a doctor who didn't approve of expensive operations. He treated her himself with iodine and drugs and made her life a misery. But after he died, you encouraged her to have the deformity removed. That's why we went to Switzerland. The clinic of Dr. Koinzler.
Yes.
The world specialist on goiter, his removal of which leaves just a scar that can easily be hidden. The Blacklock sisters enjoyed their war in Switzerland, didn't they? Charlotte was free to embrace life at last. And of course, Letty would soon be rich beyond their wildest dreams. But then she became ill and died.
No, Charlotte died.
No. This is Charlotte. The money was coming to the sisters, wasn't it? They'd always regarded themselves as one. Why shouldn't it be that Charlotte had died and Letitia's still alive? How easy just to settle in a sleepy village where nobody knows you and where everybody is reinventing themselves after the war and wait for Belgardner to die.
This is rubbish.
But you should never have shown kindness to Dora and given her a place to live. Dora had written to Letty, and Charlotte, Lottie, responded. There was no way in which you could keep your true identity hidden from such an old friend. You told her why you were Letitia, and she understood completely why she had to go along with it. But her constant mistakes put you on edge.
You're worried, aren't you, Lottie? Dora, don't.
And then the nightmare happened. Someone recognized you from Switzerland and knew which sister you were.
Miss Blacklock, I remember you and your sister very well.
You see, it was such a vast sum of money, and Randall Girdler so well known that your inheritance would have made the papers, and you couldn't afford to risk anyone coming forward to reveal who you really were. The money was an obsession, wasn't it? Justice for all the suffering life had inflicted on you. Life owed you. And weak and kindly people are often the most treacherous.
Does anybody believe this malicious old
Blacklock,
woman?
take off your pearls.
How much easier to arrange a hold-up like that when it's in your own home? No fire, for instance.
You had the central heating lit?
Yes. Because that would have meant a light in the room. And how easy it must have been to have oiled the door, to have known when the house was empty. But you had no idea that this had been witnessed due to Mrs. Swettenham's little theft. She hadn't realized the significance of what she had seen. But there you were, coming through a door that wasn't known to open. I think all that must have been fun. Fun, suggesting the move of the table with Philippa's flowers. Fun, getting a revolver from the Colonel's study. But on the day of the hold-up, Dora had said you were worried. For then it was time for murder. Dora had also told me what you were holding just before the lights went out.
She had a vase of violets in her hand when the lights went out.
Because previously, you had frayed the cord of the shepherdess lamp, and as everyone was looking at the clock chiming, you spilt water from the violets and fused the lights. I don't think Schertz realized for a minute that you were behind him. You shot him, nicked your ear with nails, scissors or something, and had blood pouring down your dress when the lights came on, making it certain you'd been shot at.
Why kill Bunny?
Because Bunny, despite knowing nothing of your scheme, was in her muddle-headed way revealing it all.
I distinctly remember. It was the shepherdess, not the shepherd.
But Charlotte did love Dora, didn't she? She tried to give her a delicious death. Tried to make her last day happy.
Thank you.
But, like Amy, she could reveal too much.
Take off your pearls.
Charlotte Blacklock, I'm arresting you for the murders of Rudy Schertz and Dora Bunny.
Take them out! Take them out! Take them out!
sorry, honey. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, honey. I'm so sorry.
Sir?
Will she hang?
Yes.
She deserves to hang. Oh, goodbye, Miss Marple.
Goodbye, Dad. Take care of your son. And your sister.
The small Scottish community of Fraserkirk says goodbye to a great man. For 2 decades, Randall Girdler has ridden the roller coaster of Wall Street and played the financial centers of Europe as if they were his private casino. He leaves to his widow Belle a fortune most men can only dream of. It's been said that the lives of rich and powerful men send ripples throughout the world. Their actions touch the course of many lives. That is why the world's press has descended on Fraserkirk to mark the passing of Mr. Randall Girdler into history.
Is it a crime, loving you dear like I do? If it's a crime, then I'm guilty. Guilty of loving you. Maybe I'm wrong, grieving on you.
Move it, Mother! Breakfast is getting cold.
If it's a crime, then I'm guilty. Guilty of dreaming of you. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. Loving you dear like I do. If it's a crime, then I'm guilty. Guilty of loving you.
Morning, Johnny.
Morning, Johnny. Anything for me?
Just one today.
Oh, thank you.
Mrs. Dyers is selling a Sheraton sideboard. Second-hand motor mower for sale? Well, who's going to be able to afford the petrol for one of those?
Can you not suck your teeth, Mother? It's not attractive.
Well, this lovely detail. Who's having to sell the furniture? Who's receiving a bequest? Little cryptic notes between lovers? And the correspondence page is full of all the petty feuds and squabbles of village life.
You quite obviously haven't finished, Mrs. Finch. Go back into your room.
You've got to be more polite, Edmund. If Mrs. Finch takes a dislike to me, she simply won't come.
Sorry, Mrs. Swetnam.
I wouldn't read that this morning, Tarquin. I don't know the first thing about India. Probably never been there. Right. Do we need a new sideboard? Eh? No. And we don't want a motor mower either.
Hitch! Hitch! Hen house! Hitch! Where are you? Hen house!
Listen to this.
Tarquin, listen to this.
A murder is announced. A murder is announced and will take place...
A murder is announced and will take place on Friday, September 25th.
A marriage is announced and will take place on Friday, September 25th at Little Paddocks at 7:30 p.m.
A what?
A marriage.
A murder.
A murder. And it's today. This is even more exciting. Friends, please accept this the only information. What do you think it means?
It means going round to Letitia Blacklock's and having bad sherry, that's what it means. And then having to pretend to murder one of the neighbours.
And will the lights suddenly come out?
Well, that's usually the form.
And will there be screaming?
Well, if you've got anything to do with it, yes, I expect so. Now, will you please go inside? You've got your bedroom slippers on.
Seems a strange thing for Miss Blacklock to do, don't you think? Strange way to invite everyone. She's normally so proper and kind, not at all frivolous.
Patrick, is this your idea?
No, indeed, Aunt Letty. Why should I know anything about it?
I thought it might be your idea of a joke.
Nothing of the kind.
Like when you put a hedgehog in Mitzi's bed.
I was only trying to cheer her up.
Like this morning, you try to cheer me up when you tell me I can't boil an egg.
You do good work, Mitzi.
In my own country, I was at university. I was to be lawyer.
Julia?
Of course not, Aunt Leslie.
Do you think Mrs. Haynes?
I don't think Philippa would try and be funny. She hasn't smiled since Gabriel's poisoned his children.
I suppose it's some sort of silly hoax.
But why? What's the point of it?
Seems a very stupid sort of joke, and in very bad taste. Don't work yourself up over it, Bunny. You'll get one of your migraines. It's just somebody's idea of humour.
It says today. Today at 7:30. What do you think's going to happen?
Death. Delicious death.
Do be quiet, Patrick.
I'm talking about the special cake that Mitzi makes. You know we always call it delicious death.
Letty?
Well, I know one thing that's going to happen, and that's at 7:30 we'll have half the village up here agog with curiosity.
Especially the old fogies. They love a good molar.
Good morning.
Excuse me.
Yes, madam.
May I change my last water treatment tomorrow morning from 10 o'clock to 8:30, as I'm hoping to catch the 10 o'clock train?
I'm sure that won't be a problem. And have you enjoyed your stay in the Cotswolds?
I have, yes.
Do you feel, remunerated?
Not in the slightest. But I do feel rejuvenated.
Yes, of course. Is there anything else I can do for you? Order tea for the lounge, catch a check, find your newspaper?
May I have a pot of tea sent up to my room, please?
Right away.
Thank you.
You're worried, aren't you, Lottie?
Dora, don't.
I'm sorry.
I told you.
But even if the notice was a joke, it seems to me there's spite in this joke. It's not a very nice kind of joke. Maybe it is me they want to kill. The Nazis. Or perhaps this time the Bolsheviks. They find out I'm here. These people have come around to my house before.
My dear child, if anyone wanted to murder you, they'd hardly advertise the fact in the paper, now would they?
Perhaps it is you they mean to murder, Miss Blacklock.
Nonsense. Now help me carry these things through, please. And after that, clean the silver in the dining room. That will keep you out of the way if any fun should happen.
You've had the central heating lit.
Yes, it's been so clammy and damp lately. I got Evans to light it before he left.
The precious, precious Coke.
Well, otherwise it would be even more precious coal.
I suppose there was once heaps of Coke and coal for everybody.
Yes, and cheap, too. Now, Julia, can you and your brother move the table and the sherry tray round the corner into the other room? After all, I'm not giving a party. I haven't invited anyone.
Is there a party? No one told me.
Of course, Philippa doesn't know.